Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Wheels, the show that champions all riders from world champs to weekend warriors, where everyone has their story to tell. And today's story is from Lowri Richards. She's a Welsh rider in the British domestic scene. She's got incredible talent. She's won the national championships a couple of times for Wales, so she's clearly a rider of great class. And yeah, it's just a very nice, laid back, nice chat, really. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No, always glad to chat with anyone from cycling. I find it amazing the wide variety of stories there are. I guess one question that immediately springs to mind is about like your route into cycling. I did see the clip on your Instagram where you discussed it briefly about kind of a genesis being the Olympics. Which makes me feel incredibly old because I shan't reveal a woman's age, but you are a lot younger than me. So, yeah, how did it all come about and how did you get into the sport?
Yeah, so I was quite active like in school. I was swimming competitively, netball, hockey, all that sort of stuff. And then in 2012, when the Olympics was in London, we had the torch come through our local town. And so we went down to watch that coming through, and there was like a fun run. And in the like goodie bag for completing the fun run was this cycling club leaflet, and it was like a newly formed cycling club in Aberaeron. And my dad, he was like a keen cyclist when he was younger. He wasn't competitive or anything, but he would like ride his bike to work and stuff. So he was like, "Oh, why don't we just give that a go?" And I was like, "Okay." And then we went to the first ever cycling session at West Wales Cycle Racing Team, and yeah, I think I went to like every session for like I don't know how many years. And then so it was held by Mike and Dawn Tarlin. And then Dawn came to me one day and was like, "Oh, would you like to try the track?" And I was like, "I don't really know what it is, but sure." And yeah, so she took us down to track every single week for God knows how many years. But yeah, so that's how I got into track racing as well.
Wow. That's crazy as well, like those connections, because, Dawn and Michael are, I've never heard Dawn's name before, but like Michael I'd heard of. Obviously, his son, or sons rather, Josh and Finn, are quite big names within the cycling world now. So, yeah, and it's kind of how everyone's interconnected as well, because like Tarlings were part of Main D Flyers, which had the Barkers and the Backsteads. So there's like, it's almost like everyone knows everyone in cycling. It's kind of a lovely family feel and community feel. So yeah, how did those first sort of track sessions go? Because like I've done a bit of track, not your level, but I've done a bit of grass track, a bit of velodrome riding as well, and riding a fixie is a challenge, shall we say?
Yeah, definitely. So actually, my first experience on the track was I went to a birthday party in Manchester, and I think I was 10 or 11. And I think I cried for the whole session. I don't even think I made it on the track. I think I spent the whole session on the coat. I was just like terrified. And then when I went down, then I think it was like a year later, I went down to Newport for the first time because I think the age for riding on Manchester and Newport are slightly different. So I think you can ride on Manchester when you're
Mm.
10 and then Newport when you're 12, I think, or 11. So yeah, but the first few sessions at Newport was also terrifying.
Ah.
And I still don't like riding high and slow. So
Yeah, yeah, because it like until you're at a track, you don't realize quite how steep it is.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
Manchester, it's not the steepest. Like was Herne Hill is very gradual because it's an outdoor track. Outdoor tracks tend to be more shallow,
Yeah, yeah,
but then you get like the one in Ghent to Kubke. Like that's ridiculous because it's such a short track. It has to be really steep, and it's just
yeah.
mental. Um, so when did kind of the racing bug kick in? Because you've done quite a bit of track, and we'll go on to some of those events shortly. But yeah, like at what point were you like, oh, I love doing this. I wanna race.
Yeah, so I actually started with cyclocross and mountain biking. It was about the year after I joined the cycling club, so would have been 2013, I think. And then so I just did some mountain biking and cyclocross for I think a year, and then I started racing on the road. And then I think quite soon after I started going to the track, the icebreakers were on in Newport. So I did some of them, and then the national, I can't remember what they're called, like the national series. And then if you qualify, you go to the Omnium final. So I did them when I was under 14, under 16. And yeah, there's not much racing then when you go to junior, senior, unless you're like on the GB Academy.
Hmm. Yeah, I suppose like because it's such a good pathway, like everyone wants to do that, and it's kind of becomes if you're not in that, then you're not anywhere, and that's you know it's great that we've got this pathway. I just think we could do. My personal opinion is we could do more for the grassroots, especially in track. It's like because like I'd never be able to get into track now, certainly at my age anyway. But like yeah, it's crazy, but. Yeah, with Wales, you went to the Commonwealth Games, I believe, at youth level.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
was really cool.
what was that experience?
So we knew it was a thing, sort of 6 months beforehand, but we didn't know like who was going to go and stuff. And then it was actually the same time as the Worlds was on. So Awan and Karis went to the Worlds, and we thought it would be three girls, three boys, and then it ended up being just me for the girls because Alan and Karis had gone to Worlds. But yeah, I got a phone call before I'd even woken up from my coach, Rob Partridge of Welsh Cycling. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what am I? So I called him and I was like shaking on the phone. And he's like, oh, you're right. I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, we've got a spot for you if you want to come. And I was like, yes, please. So yeah, we went to Trinidad and Tobago for 2 weeks. That was really cool. So I raced,
Wow.
I think, the time trial, the road race, and then scratch points, IP, and 500, I think, on the track.
Wow. That's quite a stacked schedule. Um,
Yeah.
do you have a kind of favoured event then on the track?
Um, Not really. No, I've actually really random, but I podiumed when I was at youth and junior. I podiumed at every track champs for like 4 years in a row, but at different events. So one year it was the scratch, the next year was the points, and then podium at the Madison. So it's just like really random, I think.
Hmm. I guess, yeah. Like, once you podium one, you're like, oh, some cosmic force is stopping you podium that again. So you have to kind of keep diversifying and make sure you're doing different events each year just to give yourself the universe a chance to give you another podium.
Yeah, I think like I would say I'd prefer a
But
scratch race, but also like if there's some really good sprinters there, then the scratch race can be really hard. And then sometimes I enjoy the points race if I've got good legs, but if I don't have good legs, then the points race is horrific. So
Yeah. And then on the road for junior, you were with, is it JR Interflon? Is it JRC in
Um,
Interflon? I forget which way round it is, but
yeah, so I didn't actually ride for them. So I only guested at GP Plouay for
oh,
them. Yeah, so I was riding for Backstead Bike Performance,
oh,
and then I got a message asking if I wanted to go and guest for them at Plouay, which is why it says I was riding for them because that was the last race of the year. And then yeah, I joined Tofauti Everyone Active for my second year as a junior.
And how did you find, like, were they much different? Because it's like obviously at world tour level, there's like massive teams and massive like diversity in terms of budget, in terms of a country and things like that. Whereas at junior level, I'm like, is there going to be much of a culture difference? Is there going to be much of a, I guess, budget difference for want of a better term? Like, yeah, was there much difference between going from the Backstead team to going to Fouty, who are certainly one of the bigger names in the GB scene, along with Shibden?
Yeah, definitely. When I was in Backstead, there was only three of us, and it was all just self-funded. We bought the kit, like our parents would take us to all the races, and it was very much just a UK-based calendar. And then when I joined Tofauti, it was very international-based calendar, Nations Cups. We had really good support from sponsors and like discounts on stuff. So yeah, and just the whole like setup made it feel much more like a professional team then.
And how did you find then the difference between racing, you know, domestically in the UK versus some of the bigger races like the GP Plouay, Ceratizit, whatever name it is nowadays because of sponsorship, or like racing a more international calendar with Tofauti?
Yeah, I think the nationals, well, certainly when I was doing it, you very much had Tofauti and Liv, and then Shibden was introduced in my second year. So it was very much like two or three teams that were very like I don't know what the word is, like very strong in there. And it would be like if there's a live and if there's one from every team in the breakaway, then it's gone because there's no one else to chase that back. And then in the international scene, it was very much like we were sort of like I don't want to say the weaker ones because we did have some very good results, but in some of them, like compared to like your AG Insurance or whatever that junior team's called, their budget was massive. They would bring like a
Mm.
mechanics trailer and a camper van and everything. But yeah, like I think just the amount of people in the races as well. In the UK ones, maybe we'd have like 30 riders if we were lucky. And then in the international scene, it was like 130 easy. But like as well, the style of racing in the UK, we sort of ride around, sprint at the end, and then in the like Nations Cups, it was very aggressive.
That's interesting because, like, yeah, I always found that the junior racing, I don't know, like maybe I just remembered UFA more strongly, but it was like you just kick seven bells out of each other, so to speak, and then whoever's left able to ride a bike at the end of it is kind of becomes the de facto winner because it's just survival of the fittest. So it's interesting to hear how for you it was more about get round and then a big burn up at the end for like the final
Yeah,
5K or whatever is just absolutely smashing it then. Um, so yeah, that's really interesting. And how did you find then the swap from racing as a junior to racing as an elite? Technically under 23, but that doesn't really exist for girls.
yeah,
So yeah, like how did you find that transition?
yeah. I think the jump up is massive. The races have like doubled. They've got faster. They're more aggressive. I think just everything. But I think as well. So I was really unlucky, and I caught the flu in January of 2024, and then so I didn't wasn't really like at any good level until May, and then I caught COVID in June. So I think just that whole year was just like wiped out, to be honest. And then and then this year, I took a bit of a break at the start of the year, and then got back into it at the end of the year. So I think I'm like still trying to find that, sort of finding my feet on the domestic level as an elite. But yeah, it's definitely got much harder. I think as well with all there's was it four
Hmm.
UCI teams in the UK, so the level's gone up. Well, I don't think the actual level's gone up. There's just more people at the high level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, kind of that strength and depth makes it
Yeah,
just as hard as if there were like real big hitters, but if there's just more medium hitters, then you're still getting your head kicked in, metaphorically. So yeah, I totally get that. Um, but one thing I wanted to talk about, and it was kind of funny when you mentioned your coach Rob Partridge, because I remember he was Welsh road champ for a while, um, and you are Welsh crit champ. Or
mm-hmm.
like, how does that feel to win a national title?
Yeah, it's always special. Like I think as a junior, it's sort of it's not hotly contested as much as the senior one is, and I think you don't have quite as many opportunities to even wear the jersey. So yeah, I really wanted to win all three this year, so the crit road and the time trial, but I came second in the road race, won the crit, and then the time trial was in October, which was in my off season. So yeah, but yeah, I think it's just really special because, same as Scottish champs, we can wear that jersey at the UK Nationals, and it's like I'm very much a proud Welsh person. So yeah, I think it's always really special to win a Welsh champs and be able to represent that jersey for the rest of the year or the following year.
Yeah, and that sort of heritage does come across, or that pride comes across on your Instagram, and it's lovely to see. And I'm, I'm guessing, did you grow up bilingual then, or yeah,
Yes,
basically, do you have any access to the Welsh language?
yes, I'm actually first language Welsh. I didn't speak English until I was like
That's crazy.
7 or something, maybe even older.
That's wild. I do love it because like yeah, I went to uni with someone who was from Cardiff but was first language Welsh,
Yeah,
and when he was told what he had to do as kind of homework, or I don't know what you call it at uni, like mini assignments, he would write the instructions down in Welsh, and
yeah,
it'd be really interesting because I'd know what the instructions were, and I'd kind of be able to tell roughly which words matched and which words were like yeah wordy English, like cognates, I guess, to use a
yeah.
language term. Um, so yeah, it's amazing. I guess one question I had was like, well, it's hard to know. I guess, yeah, you mentioned the different championships. Like, was well, which one would you say is the hardest to win out of those? Because like everyone's got different skills, but like, what type of rider are you, and therefore, which of those three championships do you suit best? Do you think?
Yeah, I think the crit would probably suit me best for like the type of rider that I am. I'm sort of like more of a heavier sort of, ruler, sort of sprinter kind of thing. And then the road champs is the one that I really want to win because there's, it's well, I see it as being higher than the crit champs. But yeah, they're always on super hilly courses, and I'm not the best climber. So yeah, hopefully next year the course won't be quite as hilly. But yeah,
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for you. And we mentioned next year, so you signed with Solas. I
yeah,
hope I've said their name right. And it's one of those like you see it written down, and you're like, oh yeah, I know how to say that, and then you're like, oh, how do you say that? But so you're moving from what is currently Smurfit Restrock. You're going over to Solas. Like, what kind of I guess how did that conversation come about, and what really motivated that decision for you?
Yeah, so I actually left Smurf at the end of 2024. So this year I've been riding like private
Mm.
member, sort of solo rider. But yeah, so I saw on their Instagram they had a application things open, and it sounded quite good. So I messaged them and asked them, for a bit more information and stuff and for a chat. And yeah, I was just really like drawn to their positive atmosphere. Like they had a very much like no pressure approach when I said about, I really struggled with my mental health and depression. Like this time last year, and didn't even want to ride a bike anymore, and then I've come back into it this year. So they were very much like really supportive of that, and as well, like I think a lot of their girls are less. I don't want to say less experienced, but they haven't been racing for as long, or like they haven't raced like Nations Cups and that sort of races. So I think as well I can help sort of the younger girls. So there's a few juniors on the team. So hopefully I can help them sort of navigate that, see like their way on the sort of like your Lincolns and stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping I can help them, and then as well they're like really supportive of me and my goals for this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that about your kind of struggles. I guess one question I have is like, what helped you regain the love of cycling? Because it
Yeah,
is one of those that like everyone kind of has those periods where they fall out of love with cycling, but to me this sounds more like you were going to stop altogether almost. So what brought you back?
yeah. So I think I had such a bad year in 2024 that it felt like the only way I could describe it to people was like it felt like I was going to work every day and not getting paid at the end of the month, because I was putting the work in, but I wouldn't even get around 20 minutes. And yeah, that's how it felt. So it was just sort of just really fed up by the end of the year. And so I spoke to Phil Kelly. So he was the sponsor for Pronoctus at the time. So he works for Pronoctus, or he owns Pronoctus. And I wasn't sure because obviously I'd left the team and they weren't sponsoring the team anymore anyways. I was like not sure if I could even reach out because I wasn't like if I, like I didn't know if I was allowed to. And then my boyfriend was like, "Don't be so stupid, like you need help." So I messaged him and was like, "Hi, could we have a chat?" And honestly, Phil's Welsh as well, and he was just the most amazing person ever. He was so supportive. He literally had a call the next morning, and yeah, so he gave me like exercises to do, if it got to a point to go and see a doctor. And yeah, just we basically stripped my life back to the bare bones really. And then once I found like enjoyment in just doing the basic day-to-day life stuff, then we could introduce like sports and cycling again. But also, like, when I was going to my boyfriend's house, he's also a cyclist. When he would go for like 4 hour rides, I'd be like, what am I going to do for 4 hours except for ride my bike? So I think, going on like cafe rides and stuff with him definitely like brought that love back.
Oh, that's awesome. Because yeah, like I, cycling is such a tough sport at times as well. It's like you are having to work hard and sometimes getting, as you said, like very little out of it. You know, just for whatever reason. Like even you can have a mechanical issue and then like snap chain, and then that's
Yeah,
months of work just gone, and
yeah,
that can be
exactly
really
that.
hard to deal with. And it's kind of yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you refound love and that you're. It sounds like you're on a great path with Solas. Um,
Yeah.
I would ask kind of what's next, but you've partly covered it. So, are there any races that you're like targeting this year, or looking at more closely than others?
Yeah, so in the initial chat with Salas, I said that I wanted to really focus on like the British nationals, and they were sort of gearing towards the junior nationals, but then actually they don't have that many juniors to be able to fully support that junior national. So they've actually turned around and said that they're going to be supporting more of the Nat A's, which is really good. And I don't want, I'm not going to do them all. I'm not going to do East Cleveland because Saltburn Bank is awful. But yeah, like sort of Lincoln, I really enjoy that one. Cooley was good this year, and as well, like some of the crits, they were great fun. So yeah, just sort of see how it goes, and then as well some Nat Bs will be great, and then obviously Welsh champs as well.
Yeah, awesome. I guess 2 final questions. One that I like throwing at people is, if I could make you a deal that, obviously I can't, by the way, just disclaimer. But if I could make you a deal where we shake hands and we agreed that you can win just one race for the rest of your career, and then nothing else, like you'll get seconds, thirds, whatever, but you'll never win another race apart from one, what race are you picking?
I'm really torn between the World Champs and the Tour de France. I think I'll say World Champs just because you can get those. Oh, actually, Olympic road race as well. Oh, that's a hard one. Yeah, maybe I'll go Olympic road race because it only comes around once every 4 years. And then you can have like cool gold bikes and stuff for 4 years. And you can always ride with the gold band on your sleeve after that. Yeah, I think I'll say Olympic road race.
Yeah, I love that because that kind of brings us full circle as well, because Olympics is what started your journey. It started your love for the sport, and it's the one race that you'd love to win. It makes perfect sense. So yeah, the only question I have now is just how can people find you on social media to keep up with you in terms of race updates, finding out, what's going on in your life, basically, and follow your journey further.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I think it's Lowri_Richards1. I'm on Facebook as well, if any Facebook fans going. And then also on the Solas Cycling Instagram page as well, they'll be doing team updates.
Awesome. Well, all of those will have been on screen as you were talking, for anyone watching. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait to see where this journey takes you this year coming.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That was us chatting with Lowri. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was as laid back as I claimed. And yeah, do drop her a follow. Give us a follow if you haven't. Every little helps. And yeah, thank you for joining us for the ride today. And until next time.